welcome back to another thrilling episode of the iBytes podcast. I am Daniel, your faithful host, and with me as always, my good friend Sajan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about you, Daniel?
I can't complain. You know, we took a bit of a break for a month after the OptiGrill demo. A lot of people seem to enjoy that podcast. We actually have a lot of listens with that episode, so that turned out really good. And a lot of people said that the binaural recording actually came out pretty nice. So.
You know what? You did an excellent job on that, by the way.
Well, thank you. I was doing the editing and everything, so I was like a bit nervous, and I was adding sound effects and everything, and I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out.
No,
I'm very impressed that it turned out really good. So,
I agree.
Yeah, we'll start off the. It's been a while, so what did we recently? What did we add to our shopping cart lately? So I'll start with you. Let's go with you first.
My shopping cart, I kind of went a little bit overboard. I bought myself the Shure S7B microphone.
You were jealous that I had a broadcasting mic.
I had to compete with you somehow, you know.
Well, you said I don't want a better mic. You know, he can't have a better mic than me, so I have to beat him and get a better mic.
I don't know if it's better. I won't say it's better. It's equal. It's good.
It's par. It's par with the RE20. So it's but it's the same price as the RE20. So.
Yeah, same price. Yeah. So then after the monitor, I bought this microphone, and then now I recently, like very recently, bought the new M1 Max MacBook Pro, and I traded in my current one. I actually really enjoy not having my lap on fire when I'm recording. I don't have to worry about my Mac running those fans at high speeds. Yeah. So that's nice. It's set dead silent at all times, and it's really fast. It's optimized. The battery's good. I'm enjoying that one. So
yeah. That's awesome.
So what did you buy?
Well, honestly, I'm struggling to remember what I bought recently. I've been trying to avoid buying a lot of expensive stuff on Amazon. Well, for starters, my microphone is finally paid off. Hey, it's mine now. I did the 5-month payment plan on Amazon, so finally it's paid off in full, and it's finally mine. The big thing I really bought recently was I bought a new mixer. I was using the Yamaha MG10 XU before, and I loved it. It was great. But I wanted to be able to have, well, not only faders on the mixer, but I wanted to be able to have an on-off switch to mute my microphone, because the RE20 does not have a mute switch on itself. So I wanted to be able to quickly mute the microphone if ever I'm using it on Teams calls or Zoom calls. So after a bit of research, I originally bought, was it the Yamaha MG12 XU, thinking, oh, this is going to work out great. So I went to the Long and McQuaid store not too far away from where I live and bought it, gave him my old mixer. And
you waited for how long again?
I had that mixer for like 2 days because I realized very quickly.
No. What you waited to get that? It was coming through train,
they had
right?
to have it shipped from, I think, BC. So it took a while for it to ship, and it was shipped like by land, by the train, whatever the slow way that they do it within store. So it took a while to get to Ottawa. So once I finally got it,
kept it for 2 days and returned it.
Pick it up, bring in my old one to trade in, and then got the MG12 XU. But then when I brought it home, I quickly realized, this is not going to work because for me, because I use JAWS, I have the computer audio pumping through the USB port on the mixer.
Yeah.
And the MG12, the USB line in, it had no routing switches for to switch it between stereo out or monitor out. Mm-hmm. So if I was using the USB and I was on a Teams call or a Zoom call, well, the JAWS audio, you guys could hear it. So I was like, and I spent a lot of time trying to find those buttons. I couldn't find it. I had done my research. I thought it had that button. Turned out it didn't. And I even reached out to Yamaha, and they were like, well, you could do it this way, which involved me connecting more adapters and cables to make it kind of worked. And I said, you know what, this is too much. So I just brought it back and retook my old one. Thankfully, they hadn't gotten rid of my old one. So took my old one back. And then sometime later, Yamaha had told me I was looking for another type of mixer from Yamaha. It's the MG10 XU-F, which is a different variation to my old mixer, except this one has faders. It has the on-off buttons, pretty much the same thing as the MG12 does. But it's got the same inputs, same layout as the MG10 XU, except it's got the on-off buttons and the faders like the MG12. And so I've been using that mixer. I kept my MG10 XU because I did like that was my first mixer, so I kind of have a bit of a bond to that one. I don't want to get rid of it. Yeah. And I do like the new one, although it's kind of getting odd to used to using the faders because you can easily nudge those up or down very easily.
Correct.
Compared to knobs.
Yeah.
So like today I was doing I was trying to troubleshoot an issue on my computer, and had the IT guy on Teams, and I accidentally nudged the volume of a microphone full blast. I was like, that's really loud.
Oh no.
Don't have that problem with the old one with the knobs, but I have to get used to this one. But other than that, I don't think I really bought anything new. It's I've been trying to avoid buying a lot of expensive stuff because it does, when you're like, click on this, buy. Next thing you know,
it's so easy to buy things online, and then you realize in the end of the month, you're like, oh shoot, I spent so much.
Yeah, because at the end of the month, your credit card needs to be paid off, and like that's coming out of your account no matter what.
Exactly.
Oh crap. No, other than that, I don't think I bought anything big really. It's been pretty light. I bought a few little things here and there. But bought like coasters for my HomePods. So because right now when I bought my first HomePod a while back ago, when it first came out, I bought a rubber coaster to put on my coffee table. But then I bought a second one the year later, and I put it in my bedroom. But I couldn't find that coaster anymore. Heck, I couldn't find any coasters for the HomePod, and I put a small dessert plate underneath it so it doesn't stain my nightstand. But last week I was looking. I'm like, oh look, these little coasters. I'm like, oh, they're like $10-15 each. I'm like, I bought 2 of them, and they should be arriving hopefully by next week, so I'll be able to have matching coasters. Woohoo!
There we go.
Cool. For me, it's usually like, if it's under $80, it's pretty much impulse buy. I'm like, I'm less hesitant to click buy. If it's over $100, I'm like, I really have to think about it before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much what we have in our shopping carts recently. The first thing we want to talk about. So, Elon Musk apparently is in the process of buying Twitter now. Like we've said in the past, I am not a journalist. I am not a professional. I am not prepared at all ever. So I'm going based off hearsay, what I've heard from podcasts and other like blog articles I've read. And I think he paid $45 billion, I think, for it.
I don't know the exact number, but it's something crazy like that.
Yeah, something like that. And I think it's in the process of going through like the finalization, but there's a lot of stuff going on out there. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I know there's been a lot of conversations. Like Elon's been saying all sorts of stuff out there. I don't know what's going to happen, but that is something that could potentially come to fruition. Elon owning Twitter, but we'll just have to keep our eyes open, or in our case, keep our ears open and see what happens. But I don't know. Do you use Twitter that much?
I don't post much on it, but I want to try to post more things on it. But then I don't want to get myself too addicted to it, so I stay away. Yeah, I do enjoy using Twitter. It's like my news app personally, but
well, I mainly I use it for like posting. Actually, to be honest with you, the only reason I use it is to post new episodes of the podcast. That's pretty much it. I post it on our official Twitter at iBytespodcast. Yep. But other than that, I don't really like. I'll go online and I'll check out what people are saying. If there's something big, like for example, a while back ago, I think during the Grammys, I think. Or the Oscars, Will Smith slapping Chris Rock's face live. Right. I was like, wow, okay. A lot of people saying that was staged. I don't know. I'm looking at that. I'm like, that doesn't quite seem like it was staged. It looked like it was actually, it really happened. But I don't know. I don't really care. Celebrities, poor them, boo-hoo. So that's the only reason I use Twitter. And what app do you use though when you go on Twitter?
Regular Twitter app.
Just that, really? Don't use anything else? Mm-hmm. Wow, I actually use Twitterific. I kind of like Twitterific.
A lot of people use different kinds of apps, and I think I'm the only one who doesn't use. I just use the regular.
I have them both on because, unfortunately, a while back ago, Twitter took away the APIs for third parties, and so you can't get push notifications on these apps anymore. So you have to, if you want push notifications, you kind of have to use the Twitter app to get your push notifications. But I still use Twitterific to post stuff and send messages. Besides, like I said, posting new episodes of the podcast, I may go on there and I know there was a while back I was listening to the Mac Accessibility Roundtable podcast, and one of the hosts was like, we're having issues with a pair of HomePods that I don't want to say that. I was about to say her name, but I forgot. I've got HomePods right in front of me. So yeah, when
Siri, I'll say it for you.
Saying, hey, Shlomo, it's like, well, she's coming out of one speaker. How do you change it to another speaker? And didn't know how to do it. I'm like, well, I'll message them. And I looked online and I'm like, oh, Darcy Bernard, one of the hosts, actually follows me too. I'm like, oh, great. I can send him a quick a personal message. I'm like, yeah, this is how you do it, man. You just have to. And for those wondering who have a pair of HomePods and would like to change the speaker for which Shlomo comes out of, all you got to do is you have to double tap and hold the top of the speaker that you want Shlomo to come out of, and you manually trigger her that way, or him. You manually trigger Shlomo that way, and from now on, whenever you verbally say their command, that speaker is the one that Shlomo is going to come out of.
Well, with double tap,
switch it. Well, you got to tap. Yeah,
double tap if you have voiceover on, but if you don't have voiceover, just tap.
Yeah, well, for most of us, it's usually voiceover. But yeah, you just have to. Yeah. Basically, you got to do is you got to tap. You got to manually trigger Shlomo on the speaker you want them to come out of from now on.
Yeah,
and just give her like a simple command, like, oh, what time it is, or well, what's 2 + 5? I don't know. And from then on, it's gonna respond from that speaker. So I actually, I was surprised that some people didn't know, but I'm like, well, I just Googled it and I found it within like 5-10 minutes, and I was like, oh, that's how you do it. But I didn't mind sharing and letting them know, hey, this is how you do it. And they actually brought it up in the last episode. I was like, oh, look, they mentioned me. Woohoo, yay, cool. I always like that when you have a podcast and you kind of email them and they read your email on the podcast, like, hey, that's me.
Yeah.
I've emailed Double Tap Canada and they've read my emails a couple of times. I'm like, all right, Stephen Scott, read my emails. Woohoo. So
it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting.
It's kind of
I'm sure if we read someone's email on this episode, I think they will be pretty excited.
Send us an email for if you have questions or comments or feedback, or you just want to say hi, feel free to send us an email at contact@eyebytes.tech. That is eyebytes, EYEBYTES.TECH. And just shoot us an email and we'll be glad to read it on the podcast next time. So next on our list we have here, Apple's self-repair program is now live. Now that was again a while back ago because we've been away for about a month.
Yep.
So from what I understood, this is something you brought up, though, so I'll let you take the lead on this one.
So basically, when Apple announced this last year in December, and they said it's coming out in the very early 2022, but people were waiting, and finally they released it. And I watched 2 or 3 YouTube videos. They send you 2 massive Pelican cases, and one is like 35 pounds and one is like 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And then they send you a third kit or a smaller box with the thing you order. So if you order a battery or a case, sorry, not a case, but the screen, and it has a bunch of tools, a screen press, and these are the same tools Apple actually uses at the store when you bring your iPhone to repair, and they say we'll take 2 hours to repair.
As well, like when you say that they send you the tools that they use, they don't send it to you for free. You have to pay to borrow this equipment for a while.
So $40, $50 US.
I think it was 50. I think I remember hearing something about this on Twit or MacBreak Weekly a while back ago when they first announced it. And I think it was 50, like something about between 45 to 50.
I Googled it. It's 45. Yeah. So it says for $49. So yeah, around $50 US.
Is it like a month, a week? I'm guessing it can't be a month. It's got to be for like a week or maybe $50 a day. I don't know.
I think it's I can check for you, but
it's definitely not for like a month. It's definitely got to be like a week. More, I'm saying at least probably a week for $50, or I don't know. But it's kind of weird though, because you're getting the same hardware or same equipment that they use, and like I hope all I'm saying that if anybody is courageous enough to do this, you better know what you're doing, because I would never bother doing this because I have no idea what I'm doing with.
Well, yeah, if you don't have vision, I don't think you want to take out screws and mess around, because you have to like pull out the screen just the right amount, and you have to slide the tools in slightly, because if you dig in too deep, you can cut the wires, the display cables that they don't have in the box. So if you break those, then you have to order those cables so you can replace those. So you can't. You had to put that phone aside and wait for those cables to come in. Then you can actually apply those and whatnot. So do this. Do that on your own risk. It's available.
This is not for the faint of heart. This is for anybody who knows what they're doing, who are professionals at this stuff, and want to play around with it, or have an old device and they want to, hey, let's give it a shot. Go right ahead. I will never do this because I'm too lazy, and I figure, you know what? Let the pros take care of this. Screw that.
Right. No, but I think it's actually good for people who have their like but like people who actually have repair shops, their own. I don't think you can actually rent them. I think there is a way to actually buy them out.
Buy them.
Yeah, you can buy them, but they're really
right. But that's going to cost
expensive.
a lot of money.
It's really expensive. I think it's $1,000 per thing anyway, per machine.
No, I think it's trying to remember.
I think it's $1,000 per kit. So there's 2 kits. You know how I said one is
on MacBreak Weekly, they did mention like $200 for one thing or $300 for another. So it wasn't like super expensive.
But if you put them all together,
if you buy the whole kit, it's going to cost you a bit of a pretty penny. But for the most part, if you rent it, if you just want to give it for a week and try it and then send it back, that's fine. But if you want to own it, it's not going to cost you like $20,000 or $100,000.
No,
probably looking like less than that, maybe 5, 4. I don't know what the price. Don't quote me on it.
I think about $1,000 for both the kits, but I have to need to double check. We can just Google it. But
like I said, we don't do any research. We're just too lazy.
Oh no, I was going to, but then I got busy with.
Come on, people have to realize we're not pros. Like we're not prepared.
We have fun. We make
it believe that we're pros and we know what we're doing, but in reality, we know nothing.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's cool though. I'm glad Apple actually got on the train and they actually allow, and I'm glad that they are actually giving out the same tools they are using. That's kind of cool. I was not expecting that actually. So that's a cool.
Yeah, I'll let you continue the lead because you're the one who brought it. You're the one who added these to the list, though.
Apple actually discontinued the iPod Touch or the iPod alone, iPod altogether.
That's sad. I can kind of understand why, because iPad, iPhone, HomePods, music is all on those devices. Even Apple TV. So.
Even Steve Jobs did say at the keynote that this is your iPod or your new iPhone is basically a new iPod.
Yeah, well, iPod is what brought him on the map. That's like when Steve left and Apple was like suffering, he came back and people say, no, he kind of saved them from drowning. And, he simplified because they had like, from what I remember reading Walter Isaacson's book on Steve Jobs, and he was a great guy. He wasn't he wasn't a superhero, like he was a human being like anybody else. But he pretty much took all their products and scrapped it all and said, we're gonna have this quadrant. We're gonna have tools for pros, tools for consumers, and then we're going to have a Mac, a desktop computer, and a laptop computer. Yeah, that's it. It simplified the whole roster of products. And unfortunately, I think they scrapped the Newton, which was one of the things that they tried creating while he was away. Yeah. I never had one. Apparently it sucked. But anyway, so it was I never had the luxury of having one, so I don't know what it was like, if it was actually, if it sucked or not. But I'm kind of glad that they started with the iPod first. It was like, all your music in your pocket. And
that was cool.
Did you ever own one of these HomePods? Not HomePods, sorry, iPods.
iPods. So actually, I don't own any iPods. About my brother had the iPod 4th generation, and he had the iPod 5th generation.
My goodness.
Well, I don't know. Actually, never mind. I did. My bad. I remembered that parents bought me the iPod Shuffle. You know, the one without the screen. It was just
it's like a little cube. A little square.
There was this blue one, man. I love that thing. I don't know what I did to it.
A lot of people like that. You just put it on your shirt and just run. And
because it had a clip on the thing on the back. You could just clip it on your pants or whatever. And it was pretty cool. I actually liked that. And then then someone actually paid my dad because he didn't have. I think he left his wallet or something at home. My dad was a cab driver, and someone actually paid my dad with the iPod Shuffle. Nice. So, but that one actually had the screen.
Oh, that was probably the Nano then.
No, not the Nano.
No, the Shuffle was a tiny one without the screen.
Yeah.
The Nano, they had the Nano, which looked like a stick of gum.
Yeah, exactly. That one.
Screen.
Yeah.
Then you have the other. I think there was another Nano, like square, it was like the precursor to the Apple Watch. But the Shuffle was a tiny one that only had there was no screen. It was all buttons. Yeah,
so that's the one that I had. But then I also got, because my dad, that happened. Yeah. Then I got the little candy bar one, you want to call it, or a gum. And then my dad bought my brother the iPod 4th generation. And then I still have the fifth generation. I'm not sure what happened to the fourth generation. But the sixth generation, no, I didn't buy the sixth or the seventh. No, the seventh one was the last one after 15 years of iPods.
Wow. Yeah, mine was the. So I still remember my first, and this was actually my first Apple product ever. I was gone on a business trip for work in Saskatoon.
Oh, I remember this one.
The land of prairie fields everywhere. But one of my colleagues was going to a pharmacy, believe it or not, a pharmacy that sells electronics. And I think it was London Drugs, I think. And they went there and they said, "Oh, I'll come with you." And I was looking at buying an MP3 player, like those Diamond Rios, those little tiny ones that fit in your palm of your hands. And when we walked in there, I started looking around, and all of a sudden I see this iPod video, the black one with the touch wheel, and it played color video. It was beautiful. It's like, wow, okay, cool. And it had the little tiny, I think it was a Samsung, a 32 gig Samsung hard disk drive.
Hard disk drive. Like the spinning drive.
Hard disk drive. It was a spinning drive.
Oh my gosh.
It was like, I could feel it spinning inside of it too as well. But no, I bought, that was the first one I bought. The back was silver, but the front was black. And they didn't have any in stock. So I just thought, can I just buy the shelf model? Yeah, here. So I bought the shelf model. Awesome. I brought it to the hotel room and set it up. And I took the plane back home by listening to, but back then, like with these devices, you have to plug into iTunes. You have to sync your stuff over.
Yeah,
even the iPod touches and the iPhones, when you first got them, you have to sync your data through iTunes. And now you don't need iTunes anymore. I just use iTunes to back up my music. But still, back then, like I love that iPod video. I watched video podcast, audio podcast, music, audio. I did everything on that thing. I loved it. But it's sad to see it go, but it lives on in the iPhone and HomePods and
True.
Mac and everything else that they've incorporated music into it. So
that's true.
Who knows? They might come up one of these days. iPod Classic or iPod Touch Classic, and I think I heard that the iPod Touch was sold out everywhere because everybody wanted one before they ran out.
I feel they ran out. Yeah, I know. The UX especially, it was out in like 2-3 days. It was gone.
I actually had one of those iPod Touches. I think I had the second gen. Yeah, so I had the iPod Video, and I bought the iPod Shuffle, not iPod Shuffle. Sorry, the iPod Touch. Because I went for a bowling tournament, and one of my the driver actually had one, and he showed it to me. Like, that's kind of cool. So I bought that second gen one. It didn't have Bluetooth.
They don't have voiceover, or no?
But it was disabled. No, voiceover was not on there. I was actually using it with a screen CCTV. I wanted to see the screen. I just put it underneath my CCTV and zoomed in.
Oh my god!
I was able to use the device.
Yo, I had a game. I actually had a watch that I bought that had games on it. I think it had Snake on it, and I used to put it underneath my CCTV and played Snake on my watch. But I remembered my brother. I was playing on my PS2. I was playing a racing game with my cousin, and my brother was playing with his iPod Touch, and he accidentally triple clicked the home button, and it turned on voiceover.
I was like, "Hey, that's voiceover." That must have been.
Yo, that's how I was introduced to voiceover. My brother making a mistake and figuring out what the heck is this thing, and he could not turn it off, and he showed it to me, and I couldn't figure it out how to turn it off, and I just did this triple click thing really fast, and like I got the menu up, and how the hell do you turn this off? Okay, tap once, double tap. Oh, okay, now I got how to use this, and then I'm like, Dad, I need an iPad. My second iPad, my second Apple device, my personal Apple device would be. First was the iPod Shuffle, and the second one was the iPad 3rd generation. After I got that thing, I learned how to use voiceover, and that's when I became in love with Apple.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the whole story. Going back to the iPod, so it's sad to see them go. Maybe one day they'll come up with, after 30 years, hey, iPod, classic, and they'll charge 5 times the price for it. $5,000 for the iPod Classic and 30th anniversary edition or something. I don't know. So who knows? But R.I.P. Rest in peace, iPod. We'll miss you, and you live on in all the other iOS devices that Apple has produced. So sad to see you go. But all right, next on the list. We have
AirTag update.
Well, we have Apple updates in general, not just AirTags.
Okay, cool. Yep. iPad, AirTags, iPod, iOS, Mac OS, all
iPod, really? Is iPod still in there?
Yeah, iPod. Yeah, iPod seventh
Okay, I didn't know
generation.
that.
Yeah, iPod seventh generation still got the Mac
Wow, I didn't know that.
iOS updates.
Nice. So what versions do we have there? I think iOS, iPad, HomePod, Apple TV. It's all 15.5.
Yep.
The Apple Watch is 8.6.
Yep.
AirTags, I think he said was like 1.0.301. It's basically, and the Mac is 12.4. So it's like,
12.4.
Apple does this once in a while. It's update day, and you have to spend the whole day going through all your devices. And trust me, it's a pain in the butt in my house because I have to update 4 HomePods, an Apple TV, 2 iPhones, my Apple Watch, my Mac.
Yeah, but guess what? I need to update every week because I have betas on all of them.
Yeah, no, that's your fault. You choose the beta. You want to go over that? You want to take that risk?
Well, I don't mind taking the risk because I have spare devices that I can go to, and plus I like helping Apple with iOS bugs.
Yeah. Good.
So
Yeah, to report them and let them know, hey, you screwed up here.
I enjoy doing that.
I just don't have. I don't have the courage to do that because I only have the one iPhone. I don't want to take a chance. So it's like, I'm just going to stay with the stable version. You can explore the unstable version.
Features wise, I don't remember anything.
See, like I said, we're not prepared. We don't prepare for anything. They have updates, security updates, I'm sure.
There's a lot of security updates. There's pages and pages of security updates.
Yeah. They always say that. Oh, new bug fixes and updates and security patches. I'm like, oh, can you give us more details, please? Actually, I think they do. But this is what I hate. When you have app updates on the App Store, a lot of these apps say, oh, bug fixes and security updates. I'm like,
security enhancements.
Specify?
Yeah. I know.
Like Audible is the same thing. It's like, oh, we bring you the best every time.
Apple actually were forcing developers to change their update log, but they still don't do it.
They still just say a generic description of the update, which is like very vague. And
I love how YouTube always says now it's time to take a nap or something like that. Some weird funny thing in the end.
It's always funny, but new updates. The only thing I don't like about these updates is I wish the AirTags. I really wish they would have, or even AirPods. Like, why can't they create an app on the device that you can manually trigger
update accessories
for AirTags and HomePod, not HomePods, but AirTags and the
AirPods,
the AirPods and the AirPods Max, and because you always have to hope that the sun and the moon's aligned and the Venus is in retrograde.
Yeah,
and it's you have a perfect hair day, and then the updates magically make themselves appear onto your. I'm like, oh, really?
It's a challenge.
Just manually trigger this thing because it's annoying.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge.
Well, even the HomePod, like you go to the Home app, and I have a hard time. Like this time, actually, I was able to play around with it more, and it kind of went seamlessly well. Mm-hmm. But when you go into the home settings and you want to check for updates, and it downloads it, well, the update all button, it's not even a button. Like VoiceOver doesn't read it as a button. It's just it's just text. I have to turn on screen recognition, and sometimes it might work, other times it doesn't. So yeah, well, Apple needs to be a bit of work on the Home app a little bit.
I can report that too.
Go right ahead, but we can talk about this after the show. But so if you have Apple products, Apple-y goodness, make sure you update all this stuff to make sure. Well, it's more just for the security updates, really, to make sure you're protected and secure. That's mainly it.
Yeah.
Anyways, next on the list
is Apple. Apple actually announced already new accessibility features. So
that was 2 days ago, right?
That was on the 17th. Yeah, today is the 19th.
Yeah. Well, the reason why, if people are wondering, is because today happens to be Global Accessibility Awareness Day.
Yeah.
So that's why Apple decided to do a press release a couple of days before the event.
Yeah.
Although at work we say it's a Global Accessibility Awareness Week because apparently it starts on the 19th and ends on June 4th. But I've just seen a lot of lines. It's like Global Accessibility Awareness Day, so it's like, oh, cool. So do you have any ideas what some of the features are?
So they were talking about on your phone with the magnifier app, at least with VoiceOver. With iOS 15, they made a feature where when you point your phone up, it will let you know how far people are with the LiDAR scanner. So if you have the iPhone Pro models or the iPads with a LiDAR scanner, you can see how far people are, and it's pretty accurate because of that LiDAR scanner. They're actually expanding that to door detection, and now it won't even just tell you how far the door is. It'll tell you if the door is closed. If you want to open it, how it opens. Is it a turning knob? Do you push it? Do you pull it?
I was like, when you mentioned that, I was like, really? Can you really go that? Because I thought I heard it was just like, it'll tell you if the door is closed or open.
Yeah.
And
I was surprised too.
Text recognition will read any signs or signage around the door.
Yep.
But I didn't think it would say, oh, the door is you can open it this way and the handle looks like this. I'm like, I didn't think it was going to go that far, but if it actually works, that's pretty awesome.
That would be. I mean, yeah, I can't wait to test that. Again, I am on the latest beta, and it's in the code, so I'm not sure if these features are going to be released with iOS 16 or is it with the new update. But again, it's already in the code. Some of these features
for 15.6. I'm pretty certain it's going to be available eventually, because if Apple wouldn't have released a beta for 15.6 if they were going to go straight to 16. Obviously, they're going to push 15.6 eventually to the public.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And just so to clarify, like the door thing, that's probably going to be iOS 15.6. It's not now, but I think the reason why they had the people detection was because during the COVID pandemic, they wanted people to be able to be in lines and know when people are moving forward, and so we can stay like 6 feet apart. That's why they had that feature added. But the door detection, if they can add that, that's awesome. They'll add more features, but keep in mind, I'm guessing that's probably going to drain your battery too. It's doing a lot of work.
Because even if you just open the regular generic camera app and you leave it open, the phone gets extremely warm because it's processing at all times. And that takes up a lot of battery. I noticed with Seeing AI, it takes up a lot of battery. The phone gets extremely warm.
Depending on the tool you're using and Seeing AI too, it's that can use a bit of battery. But other than that, like besides the door, what other features are there?
There's one with they're adding more gestures for the Apple Watch. You know how they've added the clenching, the double clench, the pinching and whatnot. They're adding more gestures for you to answer and end phone calls. So you can like have those gestures specific for phone calls and have other gestures for other things. So that'll be kind of cool that the Apple Watch can actually recognize those kind of things. I didn't get a chance to read the whole entire article, but those two features that I memorized. One more other one that just came to my head is you'll be able to actually mirror your Apple Watch to your phone and control your Apple Watch that way.
That's going to be interesting. I wonder how VoiceOver is going to see that on the phone, if it's going to work as good as VoiceOver on the watch.
I don't know.
I'm sure you'll let us know because you got the beta, so you'll be able to tell us, it's working really well, or no, it's not, or, avoid 15.6. Like, I'm sure you'll let us know when we get to that point.
Definitely.
Yeah, so if you ever, I'm sure if you go and Google it, you can go to apple.com. I'm sure it'll give you all the details of what's coming up for accessibility features.
Right.
I don't know. I did not prepare this week. I've been pretty busy with work, so I have not had a chance to research anything. So, like I said, we're never prepared. We just make it look like we're prepared, but we're not.
Well, guess what? Google also held their I/O event.
Yeah. Yeah, I listened to some of it. So from what I understood, so they talked a lot about accessibility, about security. They did announce new hardware. They announced the Pixel 6a. They did also mention the upcoming Pixel 7 and 7 Pro, I think.
Yep.
They had a Pixel Watch. I think they had the Pixel tablet as well.
Yep.
But there's also something else they brought up, which I thought was rather interesting. Goggles. But they didn't say if it's going to be available or not, but they did do a demo of somebody wearing these AR goggles and transcribing text or reading.
I don't think it was text. I think it was
speaking or something, and they could translate what they were saying.
No, it wasn't speaking. It was what do you call that? Oh no, sign language.
Really?
Yeah, sign language. So if you have sign language, it will actually read out to you what the person's saying.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty damn cool. I'm glad that they're actually.
I thought it was like translate. Like if somebody was speaking one language and then the glasses would translate and display the
that
translation.
too. I
thought I saw that, but
I heard both of those, so I don't know which one's true. I'm not sure.
We didn't go too much in details. That's the thing. This is something like, oh, look, a preview of what we might.
It was a preview. Yeah, it was just a preview.
So that'd be kind of cool. A lot of people are pushing for these AR goggles type of thing, and yeah, I'm sure Apple's going to come up with one of these days, but. Again, I'm not looking forward to seeing the price tag because knowing Apple, it's the elite's going to be able to get one of these, not the average Joe like us. Although I'm sure you're going to be in line buying yours right away. So,
we'll see. We'll see how good. I know we don't buy the first product ever. I like to wait. Like even the watch, I bought the SE. I didn't buy any other versions. But there was one other feature. I'm kind of curious about this. They were talking about how you could, if you had the Google Home in your kitchen, let's say, if you just stare at it and you say some words, it will recognize that you're talking to it, and it'll just there's no hot word, there's no hot phrase you have to say. You just look at it and you just talk. Too. What do you think of that?
I don't think it's for the Google Home. I think it's for the phone.
No, it's for one of those.
Pixel, I think it's for the Pixel lineup of devices. I think
it's the Google Home. I was actually watching Marquez's podcast, and they were talking about there was those Google has a speaker with a screen built into it and a camera. I think like I know Echo's Show. I think Google Show or Echo Show. I don't know what the Google calls theirs.
I have no idea.
But those ones, they actually can see because they have a camera built into it and they have like a LiDAR or something into it. So when you look at it, they can see if you're looking at it or not. It's pretty cool how they did a demo of someone walking into the kitchen and they see the Google Home already saw that and or saw them walking in and just showed them the weather in the morning or whatever their morning briefing is. So that's pretty cool.
Well, we'll see what comes out of this and down the road. I just announced it, so I'm sure we'll hear more about it as time goes by. But it's pretty interesting what these companies are doing. That's why I'm trying not to talk too much about Apple or Microsoft. I want to talk about all of them. So I think even Microsoft had an Ability Summit as well. There's some accessibility stuff that they've talked about. But I remember hearing it was a podcast that Stephen Scott did on the Blind Guy Talks Tech. He was talking to somebody from Microsoft where they had the adaptive mouse. And
that's pretty cool.
You could actually build the mouse like the components together, or I don't know a lot of details. I just quickly heard that. I was like, oh, it's kind of cool what these companies are doing for accessibility. They're trying, they're raising the bar and they're kind of encouraging each other to step up their game and make their things more accessible. Actually, the other thing else I heard as well, I heard that today. Actually, apparently Android 13 for those Android users, especially blind users. If you wanted to use Braille with your Android, you had to download Braille Back, which was a separate app. But from what I heard today, apparently with Android 13, full Braille support will be coming within TalkBack now. So
cool.
If you use TalkBack, you won't have to download Braille Back anymore. Braille support will be integrated with TalkBack, which is great, and it's going to be full support. So I'm not a Braille user, so I don't know how good that's going to be. So hey, if anybody out there is an Android user or is a Braille user and wants to let us know how it goes, feel free to send us an email if you want.
Send an email, yeah. Maybe we'll read it on the podcast for you.
Yeah, so it'd be kind of cool to hear. I don't know, iOS 13. What am I talking about? Android 13. I think it's still a little ways off. I didn't hear when a release date's coming for Android 13. I know we're on Android 12 right now, but hopefully eventually once 13 drops, if we have anybody that's a Braille user and using an Android and has Android 13 and is able to play around with the Braille support, let us know. What do you think? If it's worth it, if it's better than Braille Back. I know so far as of now, I think iOS is still better for Braille. At least that's what I've heard from other blind Braille users. That iOS is still the only one that's the only game in town for Braille. But if Google can step up their game and bring full Braille support and TalkBack and Android 13, then that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that. I thought that would actually be built in for Android, but it's not. Okay,
because they had a while back. I think they had like they had TalkBack. I think they had TouchBack, and they had BrailleBack. They had like each different apps for different features, like haptic and for your TalkBack and your Braille, and then they kind of merged all that stuff together. I think the Google Suite. I'm probably messing up the name of the bloody apps, but I think it's like the Accessibility Suite or something. And you can, but it's pretty interesting, what these companies are coming up with, and they're getting better and better every year. So
yeah, I'm glad that they're actually focusing on accessibility, because accessibility is not, again, accessibility is not only for vision, it's for a bunch of different disabilities, right? If you have a hard of hearing.
Look, when I was a kid, we didn't have this stuff. We didn't have a mainstream device. Heck, when I was in my 20s, when I was your age, I remember when I was playing curling, some of the guys in the curling club, when they wanted to have a accessible phone, they had to buy a very specific brand. I think it was a Nokia phone. It was a flip phone. They had to install, I think it was speech mobility, or it was like a specific screen reader. It was a pain to get it even installed properly on that device. And if you happen to get it properly installed, then it was very limited what it can do. But now you can buy just a mainstream device, whether it be an Android, an iPhone. I was going to say Microsoft, but they don't have a phone anymore. But you can buy any mainstream hardware now, and it's got built-in. Heck, even Windows and Narrator is actually pretty up to par. It's not as good as JAWS or VoiceOver. Heck, JAWS is kind of hard to beat, because JAWS has been around the block for quite a while. But you have NVDA, you have JAWS, you have VoiceOver, and Narrator now is it's no longer just a kind of screen reader to just get you to get your JAWS up and running. You can actually use it as your daily driver, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
But yeah, that will be it for today, because you are the one doing the editing now. So
yeah, because that's why he had no problem doing a long podcast.
Yes.
By the way, I'm going to leave this in the editing.
You can do whatever you want. I don't care. Because the reason why is because I'm in the process of getting a new computer. So I took the editing software off my Mac, because my Mac is giving me a hard time. So I'm going to wait until my new computer comes in later this year, and then I will reinstall Reaper on that, and then start editing from there. So my Mac is no longer being used for editing. So I figure, you know what, Saj, you do the editing from now on. So we can make it as long as we want. It doesn't bother me anymore, because I don't have to edit this stuff anymore.
Yeah, it's all good, guys. I got you with longer episodes.
Tweet us if you want, or send us an email, whatever. But
longer episodes, shorter episodes. You can contact us on contact@eyebytes.tech. You can contact us on Twitter.
iBytespodcast, all one word. And then we have YouTube, which I think is just iBytes, I think, right?
Yes, it's iBytes.
Yeah, iBytes, yeah. So, but yeah, so if you guys want to hit us up on Twitter, send us a comment or a message, or whether you like it, you hate the podcast. I hope you don't hate it. Please don't hate it. But
if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, the 5-star rate would be pretty nice too.
Please, definitely feel free to go on Apple Podcasts and rate us, please. It's we won't pay you. But if you like the podcast, please go on Apple Podcasts. Please write a reviews, let us ratings. Please feel free to do so. We'd love to hear to see that. And like I said, if you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us all via email, Twitter, and we'd love to hear from you, man. Anything, if you have a question or a comment or suggestions for stuff we could talk about in a future episode, please feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you, man. So, and again, so to end, I was your host, Daniel, and with me as always was my good co-host, my friend Saj. Thanks for joining me this time, Saj. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
I'm try not to delay too long next time. Not to wait another month. Hopefully, you guys liked the last one, the OptiGrill demo.
I think that was a cool one. I listened to the whole thing, and it was well done.
Hopefully, we won't be sued by Paramount from all the sound effects we used. I think we're good for artistical license. I think we're good, but no. Also, if you want to, you can check me out on the accessibility moving forward with the big R, Randy Rusnak. We did an episode a while back ago on I think it was the Bill Tillery. He had passed away last year, so we did a bit of a tribute episode on him, and so you can check that out. Hopefully, we'll have something coming up down the pipeline. But thank you for joining us this month on the iBytes podcast.
Take care, everybody.
Take care, man. And thanks for joining us, and have a good night.